Finding a comfortable place to sit, sitting cross-legged or kneeling or legs stretched out in front, perhaps placing something underneath you just for a little bit of height, a blanket, a bolster, block, or pillow. And just let those eyes softly close. Take a nice big inhale in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. Nice big inhale in through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. Starting to just feel the tension melt away from the face, the jaw, and the shoulders as you breathe. One more breath just like this. Gently seal your lips and begin to inhale and exhale through the nose. Notice how when you breathe like this, you really create space in the rib cage, lots of space to invite the breath in. Creating a nice three-dimensional movement of your rib cage. Breathing into the side ribs, breathing into the back ribs. Allowing for a gentle rise and fall of the belly. As we move today, we'll set the intention to stay in the present moment, to let go of the day so far and all that comes after this practice, and invite yourself into the now. If you have a personal intention or dedication for your practice, you could set that. We'll softly open our eyes and just start to roll the shoulders up, back, and down. So nice movement through the shoulders, getting those shoulder blades really moving on the back, even if it feels a little bit exaggerated through your movement. And then let's go in the opposite direction. This nice, big, circular movement. And then inhale and sweep your arms up overhead, holding onto the right wrist, lengthening up through both sides of your torso and exhaling over to the left as you sink heavily into the right sit bone. Coming up through the center, holding onto the opposite wrist, lengthening up and exhaling over. Grounding down into the left sit bone. Coming up through the center, exhale, bring those arms down. Let's take a little rotation. We'll rotate first to the left, so just bringing your right hand around, right hand onto the leg somewhere, left hand behind you, sitting up nice and tall. Lift your chest, lift your sternum. Drop your chin just a little down towards your chest and lengthen out through the back of the neck. And then rotating back to center and opposite direction. Left hand onto the legs, right hand behind you, up onto your fingertips, lifting nice and tall, lifting up through the back of the head. Drop that chin down. And rotating back to center. If you need to switch the way that you're sitting, you can switch the way that you're sitting now. We're going to take our arms forward, cross the left arm over the right, bring your hands onto your shoulders. You might stay here, or maybe you'll lift your arms up so that their hands are apart, or wrap the arms so that the hands come together. Lift those elbows up, press the elbows forward, press into the space between the shoulder blades, maybe even drop your chin just a little bit and breathe into that space. Then let's open those arms out nice and wide. And now we'll take the right arm and cross it over the left. Bring your hands maybe onto your shoulders or up or wrap. Lift those elbows up. Press the forearms away. Tuck the chin in a little bit. And breathe into the space between the shoulder blades. Maybe even focusing the breath into the area you feel the most sensation. Then let's open those arms out, reach them out nice and wide, and exhale, bring the hands down. Okay, we're going to move on to all fours. You might want to use your blanket underneath your knees just for a little bit of softness. So coming on to all fours, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips, and then let's just let those hips rock a little bit side to side. This is also helpful for starting to bring some weight into the wrists, especially if you do have tight hands or wrists. And just letting that body go side to side. We're going to take our right arm forward and thread the left arm through and underneath. Really reaching that right arm away from you. Push the palm into the floor firmly, and then almost feel like you're trying to pull your mat back towards you with the right hand. And again, bringing the breath into the place that you feel the most sensation. And then coming up through the center, and let's take the left arm forward and take the right arm through and underneath. Reach that left arm away. Push the palm into the floor. Draw back through the whole left side by anchoring the palm and then pulling back, or creating the action like you're pulling back. Focusing the breath into the area of the most sensation. Coming up through the center, place the hands underneath the shoulders, and let's move through cat-cow. So we'll start with the tailbone, draw the low belly in, exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, moving through the spine. Some of you might keep your gaze to the floor, or if it feels okay, you might tuck the chin and move into full cat pose. Untucking the tailbone and slowly beginning to extend, vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae. Pushing the palms into the floor, pulling the hands back towards the knees. And again, tucking the tailbone and slowly beginning to curl through the spine, bringing flexion into the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae. Pull that low belly in, tuck the chin if you can, untuck the tailbone, and slowly begin to lift and lengthen and extend as you pull the hands back towards the knees. And then let's just do that one more time. This old familiar movement for some of us, how can you make it interesting? Can you really focus on the tiny little movements and the sensation that each tiny little movement brings and how it changes the sensation? And then untuck the tailbone and begin to lift and lengthen and extend. Broad through the collarbones. And then coming just into a neutral spine. And let's take that right foot back, tuck the toes under, and just push back through the heel. So a little stretch through your calf and push up and away from the floor with the hands. So you're rooting and rebounding away from the mat. And then let's take the left leg and do the same thing. Pushing back with the heel, press back, push away from the floor. So you're pushing into the space between the shoulder blades. And then bring the knee down. And let's take those knees wide and take your big toes together and slide back onto your heels. And then reach the arms forward into child's pose. If it hurts your shoulders or it's too much to have the elbows off the floor, you can always rest the elbows to the floor or slide the hands underneath the forehead. And just rest here. Let's come back to the focus and awareness on the breath, that three-dimensional movement through the rib cage. Okay, let's walk our hands over to the right and take your right hand onto your left wrist and just use that to hold the left wrist in place and then draw back through the whole left side of the body. And then let's walk our hands over to the other side. Reach through that right hand, hold onto the wrist, draw back through the whole right side. And then we'll come up through the center. And I'm going to move my blanket out of the way. Come on to all fours and then walk your hands forward and elbows tight to the torso. Let's slowly lower the body to the floor with control. Exhale all the way down to the floor. And then taking your hands underneath your head, stack those hands, point your toes back, lift one leg up and then the other leg up so that the front of the pelvis is really flush to the floor. Bring your forehead down onto your top hand. Tuck your tailbone a little bit, squeeze your glutes. On an exhale, let's lift those forearms off the floor, keeping your forehead resting onto your top hand. Can you lift your elbows a little bit more? Energize your legs, squeeze your glutes. And exhale, lowering back down. Totally relax through the body. Let the hips just rock a little bit side to side. And then let's do that again. On an exhale, drop the tailbone, squeeze the glutes. Exhale, lifting up. Lift those arms nice and high. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Lengthen so much that the feet might organically just float off the floor. Can you lift your elbows a little bit more so you start to feel the muscles of your back, your lats start to engage? And then exhale and lower back down. And again, totally relax. Let's take the arms down by the sides. We're going to move into Shalabhasana. Roll those shoulders back. Lift the head. Lengthen out through the back of the neck. Engage through the pelvis and in through the glutes. Lift those arms, palms facing up. Maybe the feet float up, but let that happen on its own. Maybe lengthening out through the top of the head, lengthening back through the toes. Feel the triceps working as you lift your arms. Sweep the hands back underneath the forehead and exhale, release and let go of any gripping in the pelvis, in the glutes, the pelvic floor, and in the inner thighs. And from here, we're going to slide our hands right at the sides of the rib cage. Roll those shoulders back, lifting up into little cobra. Really lengthening through the top of the head. Imagine an orange between your chin and your chest. And exhale, lowering back down. This time, bringing your hands out to the side, coming up onto your fingertips. Tuck the tailbone, squeeze the glutes, roll those shoulders back, and peel your chest away from the floor. Keep your chin tucked a little, and then lift it just right at the end of your extension without force, and then exhale and lower back down. Tuck the chin in, start to peel away from the floor, lifting up here. Squeeze through the glutes, and exhale, lowering back down. And then from here, let's roll onto our backs. So just right onto your back and bend your knees and plant your feet. Place your palms right down onto your thighs. On an exhale with the feet hip distance apart, toes pointing forward, let's lift those hips up off the floor. Ground down into your heels and into your big toes, and then reach your arms straight back. And then bring your arms back, press your palms into your thighs and your thighs back into your palms. And exhale, release down. Applying gentle pressure of your palms to your thighs, exhale, lift your hips up. Squeeze your glutes. Take your arms up, palms facing each other, maybe reaching back. And then bringing those arms back to the thighs, palms facing down, push into the thighs, thighs push into the hands, and lower back down. Good. Let's do that one more time. Exhale, lifting up. Squeeze into the glutes. Lift your arms, reach those arms back. And bring the arms forward and down. Apply gentle pressure, palms to thighs, thighs to palms. Breathe, keep the big toes down, but your other toes might lift. And then exhale and lower back down. Take your arms out to the side and let's windshield wiper the knees. So with space between the feet, just let those knees windshield wiper side to side. Once more. Even it out side to side. Bring the knees into the chest and keep the shin bones quite wide. So hands onto the shins and then just gently rock side to side. You might go all the way over to where the back of the upper arm kind of touches the floor and then bounces you the other way. A nice little massage for your low back. And then let's bring those feet down onto the floor. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh and use your right hand just onto the front of your right hip. Gently guide that right hip down. Gently guide the left hip open. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you take the right foot up off the floor. Let's keep our arms out to the side and just add a little bit of a rock side to side here. And for the last couple of breaths, if you want to use your hands on your shin or wrapping underneath your right thigh, you could do that. Okay, let's bring that right foot down to the floor. Uncross the legs, Cross the opposite ankle over, maybe applying gentle pressure in opposition. So right hand to the front of your hip, left hand to the front of your hip, right hand to your thigh, pressing in opposition. Staying here, or exhale, lifting up, and then let's add that rock without our hands. And then for the last couple of breaths, maybe holding on to your right leg or threading the hands behind the left thigh, and breathe. And then place that foot down, uncross the legs, pick up your hips, shift your bum over to the right, and then just place it down. Take your left leg straight, take your right knee across the body, use your left hand on top of your right thigh, and take your right arm out to the side. So you're anchoring into the back side of your right shoulder. Breathe. Now, you might know if you're coming too far, if the back of the right shoulder is hard to ground and anchor into the back of the mat. So if that's happening, maybe don't use your left hand onto your right thigh and let yourself just kind of rotate into a natural position without any added pressure from the left hand. Breathe into the place you feel the most sensation. Your gaze might be up or looking over your right arm. Then coming up through the center, and let's shift those hips through the center over to the left. Bring your right leg straight. Take your left knee across, your right arm out to the side, the left arm out to the side, and using the back of the shoulder to anchor. Right hand comes onto the left knee. Breathe. And then coming up through the center, let's shift those hips back to neutral. One more posture before Shavasana. Let's take ourselves into happy baby pose. So, options for happy baby pose. Maybe the hands are just coming onto the shins. Maybe you can hold onto your ankles or wrap your hands around the outside of your thighs. Or you might be able to get a hold of the soles of the feet. Drawing those legs down, see if you might be able to work a little bit towards anchoring the back of the pelvis towards the floor. Feel that anchoring down. Resist the urge to pop up in this pose. Take your left leg onto the ground while still holding onto your right leg in whatever position you're in. Find length through the front of the left hip. You might keep your left hand on the front of your left hip, or maybe experiment with taking that arm back and think length through the whole left side. Breathe. Okay, let's switch sides. Take that left leg up, holding onto the left leg wherever you can. Take the right leg away. Lengthen that right leg away. Find space through the front of the hip. Maybe your right palm stays down just for that tactile feedback and reminder to lengthen through that space. Or maybe your right arm comes back so that you can lengthen all the way down the right side of the body. Breathe into that place. Breathe where you feel the most sensation. Okay, bring your right leg back into Happy Baby just for a couple of breaths. And then let's release those feet down onto the floor. Take your knees together and your feet wide. So just moving into an internal rotation of your thigh bones just for a couple of breaths before we slide our legs into full rest. It's kind of just reversing some of the action of external rotation from prior postures. Let's take our arms out by our sides, palms facing up. Take your legs, extend them onto the ground. Feel free to cover your body with a blanket, to slide bolsters or blankets or pillows underneath the backs of the knees. And then just close your eyes. And let the body get heavier and heavier into the earth with every exhale. And I'll bring your attention back shortly. Your eyes still closed. Start to just draw your awareness to the feeling of your breath. the movement of your rib cage, the rise and fall of your belly. The comfort and familiarity of breathing. Notice the feeling of your body on your mat. Note the areas of heaviness and the areas of lightness. And the comfort of the darkness of your eyelids covering your eyes. Very slowly starting to bring a little bit of movement into the fingers and into the toes. Bend your knees, plant your feet, and take a big stretch overhead like you're just waking up for the first time today. Roll over onto one side of the body and just rest your head into your arm for a few moments. When you're ready, pressing yourself all the way up to sit. And you can sit cross-legged or kneeling. And just close your eyes. Taking in just a few more really big breaths. Maybe exhaling out through the mouth. Bring your hands together into prayer at heart center. You can have the eyes closed or just a soft gaze. The light within me recognizes the light within you. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste.